Session 2 of our 3-part trainings. In this session, we'll learn about quotes, orders, how to dispatch those orders for our customers. We will revisit revenue, expense items, and auto payables, and then I'll talk to you about some navigation tips throughout the software and the ability to customize what data you see. Great, let's get started with the quotes, everyone. Here on the quote section, when you click on quotes, it's going to load your quote list up here for you. Remember, the square to the left of the record is the ability to open that record. So if I open this quote up, we can review the quote. The software is going to automatically number your quotes sequentially. This shows that I happen to be quoting my customer, Monroe Manufacturing, for some furniture that's moving from Atlanta to the Bronx. The revenue area shows what the amount of money that I am quoting for the movement of this freight. So let's go and see how we'll create a quote. Again, back to my quote list. At the top of every single list, you have a create button that, when clicked, will allow the software to open up all the fields that are required for population for a quote. Let's talk about these fields. Here in your customer will be a list of all customers that you have created and set up in your database. You can certainly add a customer on the fly using this plus sign. The plus sign will simply open up a customer quick create screen, allowing you to create that customer record. Now this list is going to grow and be long and involved for you. Who wants to scroll through a big long list? You don't have to. You can simply type the first few letters of the customer's name and the software will filter out to just those customers that match those few letters. So I can now go ahead and choose Johnson Logistics. That's just a little shortcut for you, everyone. Your contacts will be listed here in this pull down. Remember in session 1, I told you that you had to have a contact on every customer record. If you need to create a contact on the fly, that can be accomplished as well. Using this plus sign will open up a contact create screen, allowing you to add contacts to that customer record. Your assigned to person is going to automatically populate in from whoever is logged into the software. Your account rep and your sales rep will populate through from defaults set on your customer record. These can be changed if you want to. Those are just defaults that are coming through to you. Here in this pull down will be a list of all the personnel records that you have set as an account rep or a sales rep. Now, of course, it's all those dates that are required for quotes. The issue date will populate in according to whatever date it is today. The expiry date will go for 30 days after the issue date. Most quotes are good for a 30-day period. However, you can set your expiry date to whatever you want it to be. Follow-up is meant to hold just that. If you do a follow-up call with the customer or you want to remember a follow-up call. Revised is if the customer does revise the quote, wants you to add on a pick or a drop, anything like that. The branch is the ability for you to associate this quote with a specific branch in your company, and of course the currency. We are a multi-currency software. Now when I hit the create button, the software commits those details, numbers my quote for me, allowing me to detail more information. Of course, we have to know where we're picking up and where we're delivering in order to have a quote. So let's go ahead and add in a shipment record. Here in the shipments, you can add as many shipments as you need to represent the quote for your customer. I'm going to demonstrate the rudimentary one pick, one drop. So when I add a shipment, the software asks me what the commodity is that I'm moving. You don't have to know the commodity. You have to populate something there. So if it's going to be a TBA, that can certainly be it. You can freeform your commodity, or you can choose from the pull down. Session 1, we talked about the ability to populate your lookup tables or your pull downs. So let's go ahead and assume we're quoting on some electronics for Johnson Logistics. You've got shipment types to choose from, everyone. Partials are multiple shipments moving for one customer. Full loads are, we all know what a full load is, FTL, and LTL, we all know what LTL as well. The weight of the shipment, whatever that situation might be, the equipment required. Again, this is a pull down coming directly out of that configuration area, your lookup tables. If you want shortcuts here, well, you can certainly choose it by simply selecting the piece of equipment. I am typing a V, allowing the software to go right to that van area. So now all I have to do is tab out of that field. So you don't have to use those pull downs. There are shortcuts where you can simply type the first letter of the trailer you're looking for. Now the number of pieces, packages, skids, whatever that situation is, here in this pull down is all sorts of package types you're going to find that are very useful for you, whatever it is that you happen to be moving. Again, defaults will simply be that you type the first letter of the package type and it will populate for you. If you want to track the DIMs of the load, you can certainly do that in these fields. DIMs are useful when you're moving, or dimensions are useful for when you're moving LTL or over-dimensional freight. Now, of course, where are we picking up and delivering the load to? By using the existing location button, here will be all of the locations that you have created in your database. Again, shortcuts for you, everyone. So if I simply type the first few letters, I can then choose the location I want. So this shows we're going to pick up out of Atlanta, Georgia. Pickup dates and pickup times are not required on a quote. You might not know when this load is actually moving. You can, if you know it, you can certainly populate the information there. Now, where are we delivering the load to? Again, this is simply a pull down showing all of the locations already created. Typing the first few letters of the location you're looking for will allow you to find that location and choose it. Populating your delivery date if you have it, but once you've completed all the information, all you have to do then is hit that Create button. The software will populate those details in there, allowing you now to move on to the revenue area. You can, of course, add more shipments. That's a great example of that is maybe your customer asks you to pick up 5 skids at their facility and deliver to 5 different Walmart stores. Those would be represented by 5 different shipments with a different delivery city for each shipment. Now, the revenue area is the ability to show your customer what you're quoting for the movement of this freight. By adding a receivable, the software is going to take you to all the revenue items that you have created. They will be displayed through this pull down. So now I can choose a basic freight charge, for example, and I can charge $1,500 for that movement. When I hit the Create button, the software is going to add that freight charge in, allowing me to add more accessorials if needed. Let's assume this customer has asked me to provide some lumper service fees, or some lumper services. I can add a receivable, come to my revenue items, choose my lumper, and the amount of money I'm going to be charging this customer for providing them some lumper services. Whether it's extra drops, fuel surcharges, everything is there for you. I'm going to go ahead and add those lumper fees in. I've now created a quote for my customer. From the quote, using the print menu, I certainly have the ability to email the quote out to my customer. Let's throw this on the screen. So everything you have put in here will show in the quote. Your logo, your company information is going to populate here. This simply shows where you're picking up, where you're delivering to, the amount of money you're quoting, and Terms and conditions, completely customizable by yourselves, everyone. Another item we covered off in session 1, the ability for you to brand your software using your terms and conditions, your verbiage, your taglines. Now, we've created the quote, we've sent it off to our customer. If we want, we can certainly post out to a load board if we make use of any of those load posting sites, but the quote, number 152, is simply going to sit on the quote screen, waiting for my customer to accept that quote. I could be gathering carrier rates if I want. If I'm a freight brokerage company or an asset-based trucking company that might be moving this with a carrier partner, I can be gathering my carrier partner rates. I can email rate requests out to my carrier partners. I can simply add them in. So let's look at an example of that. If I'm adding in a carrier partner rate, I will choose the carrier that is sending me the rate, the contact I happen to deal with there, of course. If they give me a quote number, I can certainly populate it right here, and the rate they're willing to give me for this movement. I can even put notes in. Maybe Miles tells me he will have equipment in the area next week. I can put that information in so that I will always see that information. All of my carrier partner rates will be listed right here so that when my customer accepts this quotation, wants me to do the job for them, I know pretty quickly and easily which carrier I'm going to get to move this order for me. You can also convert quotes to an order, one click of a button. We'll do that in just a moment. Let's go back to this quote screen, everyone, so you can see that your quotes are simply populated here. I'm going to take you back to the main page of the software. We're going to access our support articles and videos. They are so very important for you, everyone. We're working through this operations area right here, creating quotes. You can also modify your quotes by reading this article. Great, let's go back to our quote list and let's convert that quote to an order. All I have to do is open the quote, convert it to the order. The software says to me, well, I need some more information on this. Remember, we didn't put in pickup dates or delivery dates. In order for it to be a live order to be moved, we have to know when we're moving it. So you can now hit that arrow, which is going to show you the information that is required, and it's simply telling us we need a pickup date. So let's choose today as the pickup date. If there is a scheduled pickup time, you can certainly populate it there. I'm simply going to go ahead and I'm going to set the delivery date as well. Now that I've set this information, I can hit the Save button, which allows me to now convert this quote. And when I do, the software goes ahead, creates the order for me, and opens the order up in my software for me. It will assign the next number in the sequence of my orders. It will show me that I've been converted from a quote. This is now a live order ready to be moved to my software. If we go back to that quote screen, let's check that number, quote 152. If we go back to the quote screen, that quote is no longer listed on this screen. That's because I only have my active status activated. If I want to see my completed, my canceled quotes, I simply activate those statuses, and then those quotes will start showing up. So I can see that this was a completed quote, which means it was simply converted to an order. So that's the ability to create quotes, everyone. We're going to move on to orders now. So, orders are what your customer asks you to move. An order will convert to an invoice upon delivery. So orders represent your revenue, everyone. It's how you guys make your money. Let's open this order up again and we'll quickly review it. We'll create an order together as well. This is the one that's been created from a quote. I can post it to a load board if I need. From an order, I can I can email anything out of the application, but I can create invoices, bills of ladings, and rate advisories. Let's have a look at what your invoice is going to look like. So I'm just going to throw this invoice on the screen for you. Again, your logo, your company information. So this is an invoice that you will issue to your customers when using our software. It details the freight charges, the accessorials. It details where you're picking up, where you're delivering to, and what you're moving. All right, let's go back and create an order ourselves. So I'm simply coming back into my order list, and at the top of every list, as you well know by now, there is a create button here for you. When clicked, it's going to open up all the fields required for the population of an order. The customer, of course. Again, your quick workaround is simply type the first few letters of the customer's name, allowing you then to choose that customer that you're moving freight for. If the customer requires a PO number or a PO number or a reference number on their invoice populated in that field, this field will print on the invoice to your customer. You can associate the branch. You can associate the booked by is going to automatically populate in from whoever is logged into the software, can be changed if needed. The account rep and the sales rep will populate through from the customer record. This free time expires, status, temp required. Those are custom fields I've created. Again, I spoke to you about those in session 1. Remember those custom fields, everyone. They are very valuable for you. But when I say next, the software will simply open up all the other fields required for population. What am I moving? Where am I picking it up? Where am I delivering it to? So let's go ahead and just move some freight all kinds, maybe in this situation. The equipment we require. I'm tabbing to this field and I type an F and I automatically get the flat deck. So there are shortcuts through the software for you, everyone. You don't have to access those long pull downs. Let's go ahead and just move your basic 24 skids with a weight of 38. Let's go with 37,500. DIMS can be useful for you, and the load type, whether it's a partial, full, or LTL. Once I've created this, there are some buttons down here that I'm going to explain to you that will help you understand how very easy it is to create multiple shipments. Well, let's actually create a multiple shipment here. Let's do that. Let's assume this is 10 skids and maybe 20,000 pounds, and we're moving it to one location. We'll create a secondary one that's going to a different location. Now, where are we picking up from? So let's just go ahead and pick up out of old Acme Industries, and we will choose a pickup date of today. If there is a scheduled pickup time, populate it here and switch this toggle on. This information will flow right through to the dispatch instructions for company drivers and owner-operators and load confirmations to carrier partners. If there happens to be a pickup number, populate it there. Any shipper notes. Maybe we've been told that we have to load at door number 4. Whatever that situation is, whatever those details are, populate them here, because again, this information and this information will flow through to trip manifests and load confirmations. So let's choose our first delivery point here. Let's go with Acme Store 2345. Happens to be in Denver, Colorado, with a delivery date, whatever that might be. No delivery time? Then just leave it blank. Leave it at the zeros. You don't have to do anything. Maybe we've been told there's a specific receiving window for this. Maybe that happens to be from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Again, populating the information there allows the software to show these details on the instructions that are issued to either your company driver, owner-operator, or carrier partner. Now, if this was your rudimentary one pick, one drop full load scenario, I would simply move down to the revenue area to complete the order. We're going to create a multiple shipment. order here. We are going to use these buttons across the bottom, and let me explain each one of these buttons. Add another shipment will create this shipment record populated on the screen for you, allowing you to choose another more details, another pickup delivery location. Add pickup will populate this information on the screen, open up another shipment record with all the details already pre-populated except the origin location, allowing you to choose a new pick location. Add drop, reverse of that, of course. It's going to populate this shipment record on the screen for you, open you up another shipment record with your drop location blank, allowing you to choose another drop location. Add return is very useful in the case of round trip scenarios. The software will create the shipment record and will open up another shipment record with these two locations flipped. So that's very useful in a situation like where a customer asks you to take a full load out to a facility and bring empty racks back. You can use add return in that situation. Add copy is useful for moving multiple commodities for customers. The same pickup, same drop location. What the software will do there is it will add the shipment record into the order, open you up another shipment record where you can then simply choose change the commodity. Let's go ahead and use our add drop function so you can see how it works, everyone. When I click add drop, the software does go ahead, creates this shipment record for me and populates it on the screen. Opens me up another shipment record with the pick location already there. So now I can show that we're going to be moving some more freight all kinds, whatever that situation might be, and we still require the same equipment, a basic flat deck. Now maybe this is 8 skids and I don't know, maybe 18,000 pounds, whatever that situation is for you. Of course, it's a partial because we're moving multiple shipments, so we'll choose partial there. And now I just have to choose my delivery location for the second shipment. I'm just going to go ahead and choose another Acme store. It might not make sense to us. It might be out of route. Okay, well, we're going to go to Denver and then carry on to Seattle with a delivery date, whatever that situation is, any pickup numbers, any delivery numbers, shipper notes, delivery notes. Once you populated all the information here, there is no need to save this record. The software will automatically create it for you, and you can move on to the revenue area. This is where you're going to detail what it is you're charging the customer for the movement of this freight. Let's go ahead with a basic freight charge of $5,000 for this load. But I want to add more accessorials. Let's assume we're going to get some fuel surcharge on this load. By switching this toggle on, that tells the software that $5,000 is FSCable. So when I add another revenue line, the software commits the freight charge to the database for me, right across there, and now allows me to choose more accessorials. If I choose fuel surcharge, software goes ahead and already populates in that $5,000 because that was the freight charge we said was FSCable. And I can now show what I'm charging the customer. Let's assume I'm getting a 3% fuel surcharge in this situation. I simply populate the percentage that I'm receiving, and it must be in the true decimal with a 0 point. And I can add more accessorials. Maybe I'm going to charge an extra drop charge for this load. So by adding another revenue line, the software goes ahead, will populate the fuel surcharge in for me, determining, whoops, we didn't want that, determining that 3% of $5,000 is $150, and I can choose my last accessorial. Let's go with an extra drop charge. I only have one drop at $50. This is a completed order now. I'm done. I have 3 choices. I can post it to a load board if I want by switching that toggle on. I can finish the order, which will populate it on the order list in the unassigned dispatch color, Or I can go ahead and dispatch this order right from here if I know who's moving it, for example. I'm simply going to finish the order. And when I do, the software is going to tell me that the order has been created and gives me a choice of either opening the order or simply going to my order list. Let's go to the order list to see what it looks like on that list first of all. So here it is, populated right at the top. It's in that purple, unassigned color. It shows me in the delivery city column that I happen to have 2 drops on this load. So everything is there and viewable from this main screen. Let's open the order up so we can have a look at that. When I do, I can see I've got 2 shipments, one delivering into Denver, one delivering into Seattle. I can see all of my revenue. When I look at this invoice, it will detail both shipments for me. The fact that I'm moving 10 skids to Denver and 8 skids to Seattle, and all of my freight charges and accessorials as well. So that's how easy it is to create an order. You can post orders to load boards right from here. You can also dispatch them. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. So we're going to navigate back to our order list so we can see orders that we need to move, because now we're going to talk about dispatching. Orders convert to invoices upon delivery, represent your revenue. You have to pay someone for moving that load for you, whether it's a company driver in a company truck, an owner-operator, or a carrier partner. So that's where your dispatch record comes into play. Dispatches are your expenses. So let's go ahead, first of all, because we are a useful software for both asset-based trucking as well as freight brokerage, I'm going to have to dispatch two different ways for you. Let's pick up this one we created from a quote, and let's go ahead and dispatch this out to a carrier partner. We'll come back in and put this on a company piece of equipment. So let's first of all open this one up. Let's go ahead and dispatch this load. Software asks me, new or existing dispatch? Well, existing is only used in the case of throwing a skid of LTL on the back of a trailer that's already been dispatched. We're going to use new in this situation, and the software will then allow me to create the dispatch record. With the brokered carrier button highlighted, the software will show you every carrier that you have set up and vetted in your database, allowing you to choose the carrier that's moving the load for you, any contacts that you have at this carrier's facility, and you can now also populate the carrier rate. So we negotiated the rate with the carrier. They're going to charge us $1,500 for this load. I can even categorize it. I like all of my outside carrier expenses to be categorized into one bucket. So I created an expense item called brokered carrier expense. That's the ability to categorize your costs of goods or expenses. And now when I save the record or save the details, the software will create the dispatch record for me. Now, from a dispatch, there's a lot of information we can cover off here in the dispatch. Typically, the next thing a dispatcher or an ops person is going to want to do is get the instructions off to the company they've hired to do the job for them. So let's have a look at how we do that. We can see here on our route plan, we're going from Atlanta to Mendota. Here in the notes section, remember notes are so very valuable to you, everyone, is the ability for you to put in specific load instruction notes. Any note set as a load instruction will print on the load confirmation issued to your carrier partner. So let's go ahead and say to this carrier, whoa, that's not very good typing, is it? Let's go ahead and say to this carrier partner, driver must check call every morning by 9 a.m. Let's also say driver must ID as my company. Whatever those details are, everyone, they're always different, but the ability to put the information here is very useful to you. Now that I've put in some special load instruction notes, the next thing I'm going to want to do is get the instructions out to my carrier. Here, under the print menu, I have the ability to email a load confirmation to my carrier partner. When I choose email, the software will populate the email address coming from the contact record of the carrier. I'm just going to go ahead. Whoops, I didn't want to do good. It didn't let me do that. I hit the wrong button and the software gave me a warning and said, no, I can't complete this. So there are these pink warning signs that will come up throughout the software for you. Anyway, I'm going back to that print menu and hit the right button. Let's throw this load confirmation on the screen so we can see what it holds. Your logo, your company information. This trip number acts as your PO to the carrier, what the carrier will reference when they send you the invoice or call you to speak to you about this trip. It, of course, is going to show pickup and delivery dates, shows what they're picking up, where to pick up, where to deliver. This loading info is coming directly off that location record that we created. We learned about those location records in session 1, so that's the ability to detail loading and receiving information. Here's those special load instruction notes that we put in, and of course the amount of money we've agreed to pay the carrier, as well as more loading terms and conditions that are completely customizable by yourselves. So that's a load confirmation that can be issued to your carrier partner. Now, I don't go into this in basic training, but I would like you to know that we do have the ability to send electronic load confirmations and receive electronic acceptance. You want more information on that, you either reach out to the support team, myself, or you access the article on electronic load it was showing there. There we go. Electronic load and rate confirmation system. Great. We'll get back over to this dispatch, everyone. Now I've sent the details off to my carrier partner through that load confirmation. The dispatch can now be worked as my carrier gives me a call, tells me that they're loaded at Acme Industries in Atlanta. I can be marking these flags, showing this load has been picked up, and the status color of it will change on the boards. Let's have a look at that. So here's order 10141, trip number 751. Let's first of all look at it on the order screen. So it used to be the purple unassigned color. Because we've marked some flags showing the load is in transit, it actually changes color to that in transit status color. If we look at the dispatch and we check our dispatch board, we're going to see trip 751 in that teal in transit color. As you mark flags and move loads through various statuses, those status colors will change for you, everyone. Great, let's go back and pick up that order and dispatch it onto asset-based equipment. So simply by opening it, oh wait, you do have an action center there. Let's have a look at that in this situation. So you have an action center right next to your open button. When clicked, there are some actions you can do here. You can copy the order, you can open the print menu, you can add notes. So that action center is there to help you do some functions as well. So let's go ahead and dispatch this onto company equipment. When I want to dispatch all shipments, I will use this button. However, you do have the ability to dispatch shipments individually. If I'm moving this on one truck and this on another truck, I will use the dispatch buttons right beside the open button. I, however, am going to join all these shipments together into one movement, and I will then simply dispatch all shipments onto a new, and we're moving this on company equipment, so we make sure our company truck button is highlighted. And then here in this pull down will be every tractor you have set up in your database, allowing you to choose the tractor moving the load, the trailer moving the load, and the driver moving the load. And when I do and save these details, the software again creates the dispatch record for me. We're going to talk about a few more functions in the dispatch record here now as well. Here in this map route, we can see where we're going from and to with the ability to email or download those directions. All of our miles are generated by an application called here.com, and they are truck practical miles. Now you'll recall from session 1, I have Georgia Green set up to receive 50 cents per mile when she is the driver on a dispatch. That's auto payables at work for you. Down here, my expenses, I can see some auto payables already calculating. These are simply commission sales reps in my database. But let's go ahead and watch Georgia Green's pay calculate. You don't see a bill here for Georgia. So over here on the route plan, I do have the ability to see I'm going from Atlanta to Denver to Seattle with the ability to calculate miles, letting the software tell me that it is 2,749 miles to do this load. When I save this information, the software recognizes, oh, Georgia has auto payables tied to miles. So the software goes ahead, goes to work for me, and creates a bill for my driver. That's auto payables at work for you, everyone. It just paid Georgia 50 cents per mile for those 2,749 miles. Whether it's an auto payable that you're using for revenue splitting with your owner-operators, by mile for your owner-operators, revenue splitting with company drivers, or per mile, commission, it can all be handled by the software. Now again, we have to get the instructions out to our driver. Let's throw some special load instruction notes in again so you can see that those will become very valuable to you. Oh, I need cap locks on. I always like my instructions to stand out in capitals. So let's just say to Georgia, please scale empty before loading. Again, whatever those instructions are. Now I've got two ways to get the information off to your company driver or owner-operator. Here under the print menu is the ability for you to email a trip manifest to Georgia Green. Most drivers have email-enabled phones out there these days. Let's throw this trip manifest on the screen. So this is the instruction sheet that can be issued to your driver or owner-operator. This will be their PO, what they will reference on their pay settlement statement. It, of course, shows the tractor that they're using, the trailer that they're using, where to pick up, and where to deliver. Remember, this is a 2-drop shipment. So we see all the notes coming through. The fact that we need to load at door number 4. The fact that we have a receiving window. Everything is listed here. The fact that we had a scheduled appointment. All the information will be listed on these trip manifests for you, as well as special load instruction notes. Now, while this is one way to get the details off to your driver or owner-operator, we have a second and really slick way for you. I can't demo it for you or show it to you because it involves the use of a cell phone, but I'll briefly speak to it for you. It is the ability for your driver to download an app from Google Play or the iTunes Store. So it is both Android and iPhone capable. The app is called Tailwind POD Complete App. Once the driver has that app on their cell phone, the mere act of a dispatcher or an ops person assigning the driver allows the software to send all details in this trip manifest out to the driver's app on their cell phone. And it doesn't stop there. Not only is the driver able to get all the information through the app on their cell phone, the driver also has some functions they can take care of. So I've sent this instruction off to Georgia Green through the app on her cell phone. Georgia can now, when she arrives into Acme Industries in Atlanta, Georgia, Georgia can press a button on the app on her cell phone that will mark this flag in my database. Will even populate the time that Georgia sent me the message. I can be tracking in and out times directly from my loading and unloading facilities, directly off messages sent from Georgia's cell phone. As well, when Georgia delivers the load, she rolls along the highway, she delivers in Denver, she delivers in Seattle. She will, of course, send messages to me showing me the load's been delivered. In my database, I'm going to be able to easily see this. Georgia will, of course, get the signed proof of delivery. With another button on the app, Georgia can capture that POD. It will upload seamlessly, flow through the electronic world, attach itself to the order in question, and will be ready for sending to your customer with the invoice. You can be invoicing your customers day of delivery with the Tailwind POD Complete app. Now, once a load is actually marked as delivered, the software takes care of a few functions for you. Once the software knows a load has been delivered, it picks up this related order and it moves it over here to AR, where it's going to wait for processing. The last thing an ops or a dispatcher will do, once they know the load has been delivered, everything's great, they're happy with all the expenses here, they will complete the dispatch. Completing a dispatch, again, allows the software to pick up these related expenses and move them over to AP. We're going to learn all about that in session 3, everyone. But that's completing a dispatch. That's taking an order, dispatching it as a live order, delivering it, and moving it through the software. So that was quotes, orders, and dispatching, everyone. Let's go back to our learning documents for a brief moment so we can review those. Creating quotes, converting quotes to orders, creating an order, dispatching an order. Now, there are more functions in the dispatch than I cover off in basic training. So reading these articles, working with dispatches, advanced orders in dispatching will be very useful to you. Let me give you a brief explanation of what I'm talking about here. On dispatches, you're going to find some buttons, switch and drop. Very often trucks break down and you have to get another tractor under that load to move it. That's where a switch is going to be very useful for you. Sometimes you send a town truck out to do a preload or a delivery. Drops will be very useful for that. You can drop loads anywhere. Now in basic training, of course, I only cover off the basic functionalities of the dispatch and the orders. So always look at our articles for further instructions or reach out to the dev team, the support team, or myself. We'll be happy to help you with the more complicated functions of a dispatch. So there's your dispatch. And we're just now going to kind of flow through these last screens here. While orders are the ability to see your orders and the different statuses they are, we've learned that an order can have multiple shipments. So the shipment screen will break down your orders to a shipment level and allow you to see the statuses of those different shipments. For example, that order we just did, 10142, has 2 shipments, a -1 and a -2. So this is simply the ability, if they were dispatched separately, this is the ability for me to view the status of the individual shipment. You can advertise equipment on those load posting sites if needed. You get a truck stuck somewhere, you haven't been able to find a load for it, you can certainly choose the tractor that's stuck. You can say the available date, what trailing equipment they have with them, and then post it out to those load posting sites, allowing all those freight brokers to call you with a load. The equipment status screen is simply a screen that's going to show you a view of where your equipment was last noted in the software. It's going to show you your tractors, the dispatch they're on, any dispatches that they happen to be planned on, what their status is. I don't seem to, there's an in-transit one. So the statuses will show, it will show the last location in the software. You can filter your equipment by either tractors or by trailers. giving you a quick and easy view as to where any piece of equipment was last noted in the software. Now, tasks. Well, tasks are populating through to you from personnel records and equipment records. We've got compliance items we have to track. We have commercial driver's licenses that expire, safety inspections that expire. So when you set up your personnel and your equipment records, you entered those compliance details. They will create tasks on this screen for you. You can create your own tasks. You want to remember to call a customer, you can just say, call ABC. You can assign any task to any member on your team and set a due date, of course, with a reminder if you want the person to be reminded the day ahead. The related item, so because this is a customer call, I would relate it right through to that customer record, and then I can put notes in. So you can certainly create tasks at any time, and while all tasks will populate on this screen, regardless of who they're assigned to, only tasks that are assigned to the logged in user are going to appear over here in this bell area. So if your bell area has a red dot on it one morning when you log in, clicking on it will show you the tasks that have been assigned to you, and you can click right into the task to get the details. Now the icon right next to that bell area is the ability for you to SMS or text directly out of the application with any company driver, owner-operator, or coworker. And when you set up texting, the software will keep a complete history of all text messages sent between yourself and this person. Great, everyone. That's a quick run through of our operations area. I now just have a few navigation tips and the ability for you to customize the data you want to see for you to go over now. Okay, some navigation tips. Let's first talk about the ability for you to customize what you see and what you don't see. As you've seen me working through every one of these lists, you see that each list comes with its own set of information. Everybody's different, wants to see different data according to the job function they hold at the company. So at the bottom of every single list, we give you an active columns button. And this is a personal preference only. It's not going to affect the coworker sitting next to you. It is only going to affect this login. So when I click active columns, the software will give me a complete list of all information that is available for viewing on this particular screen, allowing me to choose the information I want to see. Anything switched to green will be displayed. When I close it, those columns are now readily available for me on this screen. Lots of data. Maybe too much data that I have chosen here, but all information will be populated here. While I can choose the columns I want to see, I can also rearrange columns. So maybe I want to see my delivery city here next to my pickup city. Maybe I want to see my tractor that's moving the load over here next to my customer. I can drag and drop columns into the exact position I want to see them. I can even resize columns. Let's move the free time. I don't even use that columns. But anyway, you can resize your columns as well. One big trick here, everyone. Once you've chosen all of the columns, put them in the order you want to see the columns organized. Make sure you hit this Save List button right down here, because that saves your personal preference. If you don't hit this Save List button and you navigate away from this screen, all your hard work will be for naught. I'm coming back into my order screen and I'm going to show you, look, my delivery city's way over here again. My tractor's here. So once you've chosen your columns, arrange them in the order you want to see, make sure you hit that Save List button, everyone. We color code our order, dispatch, and shipment screen, and you have the ability to see which status you want. I, as an ops person, I only care about these 5 statuses. But if I ever want to see my delivered, my sent invoicing, or my invoice loads, all I have to do is activate those statuses and those individual orders will start showing up. Let's find that one that was sent to invoicing that we did this morning. There it is right there, that one for Acme that we sent off to invoicing. Another great example of this is maybe I'm a dispatcher that's coming in on Monday morning and I only want to see my unassigned orders. Well, I simply turn all these different statuses off. Whoops, there we go. And just give it a minute, everyone. There we go. And the software, it will. Just give it a minute. That's my internet at work for you, everyone. It's just free filtering everything for me. But the software will show you only those loads that are in that unassigned status. Activating them back will allow the software to show you those active statuses again. Just activating them and they all start populating in here. So not only can you choose the information in the individual columns, you also get to choose the statuses you want to see your shipments moving in. Okay, navigation tips. We're all making movements from Windows-based software to web-based software now. Everybody seems to be going to web-based software these days. Gone are the days of minimizing and maximizing windows and maybe not remembering what's on each individual window. You can use the multi-tab browsing capabilities of your browser to help you do various functions throughout the software. Let's have a look at that information. So while I may want to have my, let's come back here to this screen. While I may want to have my quotes, I want to see my quote list. That's my internet at work for you, everyone. Let's go back to our order list. While I want to see my order list, I may also want to see my dispatch list. But because I live in a remote area that has satellite internet, I don't want to wait for those different lists to load up. So what I can do is, with a right mouse function, I can open any lists on another tab in the software. Any list at all that I want to open, I can open those lists. And then I can easily navigate between my tabs. I can see my order list. I can see my shipment list. I can even right mouse my dispatch list if I want to see dispatches on a different tab as well. So while I can have multiple tabs showing different lists in the application, I can also open individual orders or dispatches, records of any type. This becomes very useful for multitasking. Transportation is an industry where you have to have some serious multitasking tools. So let's look at an example of that. Maybe I happen to be talking to this customer, Johnson Logistics. Again, with a right mouse function, I can open this order on another tab in my software, in my browser, so it shows me all the details. Now I get an urgent call from a customer who needs to speak to me urgently. I put the customer on hold. I come to my dispatch list, and I open the dispatch that the driver is calling in about. With a right mouse function again, I can open that individual dispatch. So now I can talk to the driver about what the driver's calling in about. I know it might be really hard for you guys to see from home, but every tab tells me exactly what's on it. So when I'm done talking to the driver, for example, I can close that dispatch out. I'm done with it. I don't need it any longer. And I can easily see which order I had open and come back to the actual order in question. I can finish my conversation with the customer and then, of course, close that order as well. One more thing to note, everyone. We drop breadcrumbs across the top of the application for you. No matter which list you have going, there will be a breadcrumb across the top of it for you, allowing you to easily, maybe you had an order open. Let me show you what that's going to look like in your list. So I opened up trip 750, and I'm simply going to go back to my dispatch list now. Let's go back there this way. So see how it says order 10141? So it's going to show you exactly what you've had open, so that if I need to remember, what was that order I had open recently, I can simply access it through my breadcrumbs, and clicking on it will open it up for you. All right, thanks everyone. That's it for the navigation tips throughout the application. There's probably a lot more, but you can have fun navigating and finding your own little shortcuts. Okay, thank you very much. Bye for now.